Yeah, I'm not staying around.
In this video, you witness a person filming who stumbles upon an abandoned house deep in the forest. Suddenly, the sound of a baby crying echoes through the woods. It's clear that the person recording reacts to the noise, cautiously moving closer to investigate. However, the closer they get, the more distant the cries seem to become. Take a look for yourself. While unsettling, it's difficult to determine if this is a prank or someone attempting to lure them in. My theory, though, points to the lyrebird, as these birds are known for their ability to mimic almost any sound they hear. I'll play a short clip, and then you can share your thoughts. In 2023, a Venezuelan drug trafficker named Ronaldo crafted an elaborate plan to deceive his cartel bosses. He was assigned to transport over $10 million worth of narcotics by boat. But when he returned to the cartel empty-handed, he claimed the Coast Guard had chased him, forcing him to dump the drugs into the ocean to escape. Due to his rank, they appeared to believe his story. However, Ronaldo later returned to the dump site, retrieved the narcotics, and took them to a nearby Caribbean island. There, he assembled his crew to sell the drugs and profit from the scheme. According to reports, one of his men eventually informed the cartel. Despite Ronaldo changing his identity, they quickly tracked him down. In a brutal turn of events, they tied him to an anchor, took him out to the deep ocean, and dropped him in. But the story doesn't end there. In the video, Ronaldo remains silent, and the camera never fully pans out, leading many to speculate that this could have been a staged attempt to fake his own death. After his identity change failed, this might have been his next best option. If his men were loyal, he could have bribed them to create the video, leaving the anchor untied, allowing him to escape to a Caribbean island free from the cartel's pursuit. As of now, however, he is officially considered deceased. On June 2, 2016, a woman named Christina Kellen uploaded a video of her pet parrot speaking like a human. While most people would find such a video cute or intriguing and move on, this particular clip became crucial in solving a murder case that had puzzled investigators for over a year. On May 12, 2015, around 7 a.m., Connie Rye, a resident of Sand Lake, Michigan, heard the sound of gunshots coming from her neighbor's house across the street. At first, she didn't pay much attention to it, as her neighbor, 46-year-old Marty Durham, was known to frequently hunt in the area. Connie and her husband Keith were close friends with Marty and his wife Glenn, and were familiar with their daily routines. However, later that day, Keith mentioned to Connie that Marty wasn't answering his phone calls or text messages. Concerned, Connie decided to investigate after finishing her work. When she arrived at the Durham house, she found the doors locked and no one answered when she knocked. Assuming the couple wasn't home, she returned to her house. But as the day went on without any word from Marty or Glenn, Connie's concern grew. She decided to check on them again, and this time, she noticed that one of the doors was unlocked. She entered the house and was immediately struck by the state of the living room. It was completely trashed, as if a robbery had taken place. However, nothing could have prepared Connie for what she discovered next. As she made her way to the master bedroom, she found both Marty and Glenn lying on the floor, covered in blood. Shocked and terrified, Connie ran outside and called for help. A group of firefighters who happened to be nearby rushed to the scene. After assessing the situation, they pronounced both Marty and Glenn dead. Both had sustained gunshot wounds, and the state of the house suggested a robbery gone wrong. But just as investigators were beginning to piece together what might have happened, something unexpected occurred. About an hour after the initial report, a police officer noticed that Glenn appeared to be breathing. He approached her to check for a pulse, and to everyone's astonishment, she opened her eyes and sat up. Despite having a bullet wound behind her ear, Glenn had miraculously survived. She was rushed to the hospital for treatment, where it was determined that her wound was not fatal. Marty, however, had been shot 5 times and did not survive. Back at the house, investigators found a Ruger new model revolver hidden under a couch in the living room. They also discovered several cartridges and 1 unused bullet on the couple's bed. The revolver was believed to be the weapon used in the shooting, but there was no evidence to point to an intruder. With no clear leads, the police turned their attention to Marty and Glenn themselves, hoping to uncover potential motives or clues. What they found was chilling. Glenn's phone records revealed that on May 11th, just 1 day before the incident, she had sent a text to her mother saying, "Love you, I'm sorry." Shortly after sending this message, her phone accessed a webpage titled Ruger New Model Single 6 Single Action Revolvers, the same type of gun found in the house. Additionally, investigators discovered 3 handwritten letters addressed to Glenn's children, filled with apologies and expressions of regret. When Glenn recovered enough to speak in October 2016, investigators questioned her about these findings. She denied ever searching for information about the revolver online, and claimed that the letters had been written long before the incident. When asked about Marty's death, she said she couldn't remember anything. Despite her denials, Glenn became the prime suspect. However, without concrete evidence, investigators were unable to arrest her. The possibility of an intruder could not be ruled out, especially since Glenn herself had been shot. The case remained at a standstill until June 2016, when an unlikely source provided a breakthrough: a talking parrot. The African gray parrot, named Bud, had belonged to Marty and was in the house at the time of the shooting. After Marty's death, Bud was given to his ex-wife, Christina. African gray parrots are known for their intelligence and ability to mimic human speech, especially during high-stress situations. While in Christina's care, Bud began repeating phrases he had heard on the day of the incident, including Glenn yelling and what sounded like an argument. While Bud's testimony couldn't be used in court, it gave investigators the confidence to pursue Glenn more aggressively.
Probably about a month or so after Bud got here, I would hear him scream and squawk, and it would happen a lot at nighttime. But then one day, literally, he just kept going over and over again, the same "oh," and it sounded like 2 different voices. And I was just so freaked out that I took it upon myself to record it.
They obtained a DNA sample from her, which matched DNA found on the Ruger revolver. Further interrogation revealed the full story. Marty had been on disability after a car accident but made ends meet by illegally selling prescription narcotics. He entrusted Glenn with the money to pay bills, including the mortgage. However, Glenn had gambled away much of the money and lied to Marty about the payments. When the bank threatened foreclosure, Glenn shot Marty and staged the scene to look like a robbery. On January 22, 2023, Nasalja Alma was working out alone in her apartment building's gym when she noticed someone at the entrance who she thought she recognized. The man gestured for her to let him in, and assuming he had simply forgotten his key, she opened the door for him. However, almost immediately, he launched an attack on her. With no one around to help, Nasalja quickly shifted into defense mode. What her attacker didn't realize was that Nasalja was a dedicated gym enthusiast and remarkably strong for her size. Using his own weight against him, Nasalja managed to push him to the ground, where she placed him in a headlock and dialed 911. The entire incident was captured by security cameras. Take a look. Thankfully, Nasalja escaped unharmed. As for her attacker, Xavier, he was arrested within 24 hours and charged with battery, false imprisonment, and kidnapping. During his interrogation, Xavier admitted that he had targeted Nasalja because he found her attractive. Since the incident, Nasalja has become a personal trainer, specializing in helping other women. She hopes that by sharing her story, she can inspire others to take self-defense classes and to never give up, no matter the circumstances. On May 16, 1992, Mexican singer-songwriter Chalino Sanchez delivered one of the most memorable performances of his career. He played many of his hit songs, ending the concert in a spectacular fashion that left the audience in awe. Little did the fans know this would be the last time they would ever see him perform. The story of Chalino's final performance is deeply tied to the origins of his music and the life he led. Chalino was born in 1960 in a poor farming region of Sinaloa, Mexico. His village was plagued not only by poverty, but also by extreme inequality, where a handful of powerful men controlled everything and acted without consequence. Chalino experienced this injustice firsthand when a local thug named El Chapo Perez assaulted one of his sisters. Refusing to let this go unpunished, Chalino, at just 15 years old, confronted El Chapo at a party. Without hesitation, he drew a gun and killed El Chapo at point-blank range. Because El Chapo was well-connected, Chalino was forced to flee to Tijuana and eventually crossed the border into the United States. After settling in the U.S., Chalino teamed up with his brother to smuggle people from Mexico into the U.S. However, this operation came to a tragic end in 1984 when his brother was killed in a Tijuana hotel. Devastated, Chalino wrote a song to honor his brother, but he did so in an unconventional way. The song was written in the traditional Mexican style of corridos, and its lyrics openly recounted his and his brother's lives, including their involvement in drugs and violence. During this time, Chalino ended up in prison in Tijuana, where his unique musical style gained popularity among inmates. His music, which came to be known as narco-corridos, spread throughout the Mexican underworld. After his release, Chalino focused on his music and quickly rose to fame, becoming one of the biggest stars of his era. By 1991, he was selling out arenas on his tours. However, the violent world he sang about never left him. In January 1992, during one of his concerts, a man rushed the stage with a gun. Instead of fleeing, Chalino drew his own weapon and engaged in a shootout. The assailant was killed, and 10 people in the crowd were injured. Chalino was also shot but survived. 5 months later, on May 16, 1992, Chalino performed in Culiacan, Mexico, delivering what would later be remembered as one of his greatest performances and his last. During the concert, someone handed him a mysterious note. Footage from that night shows Chalino reading the note, visibly shaken, sweating, and staring into the crowd for a long time before continuing the performance. Near the end of the concert, Chalino made sure to say heartfelt goodbyes to his friends and fans. Shortly after the concert ended, Cellino was kidnapped and executed with a bullet to the back of his head. The note he received on stage essentially warned him that he would be killed after the performance. Cellino knew the threat was real, and the performance captured in the video became his final one. To this day, the identities of his killers remain unknown, and it's unlikely they will ever be uncovered. The Cobb Estate in Altadena, California is infamous for its eerie and unsettling atmosphere, often attracting paranormal investigators and urban explorers seeking a thrill. However, for the team behind Project Purgatory, their visit to the estate turned into something far more disturbing, not because of ghosts, but because of the people they encountered there. Arriving late at night, the group set out to explore the deserted grounds, armed with cameras and ready to document any paranormal activity. The location has a long-standing reputation for being haunted, with numerous visitors reporting strange noises, shadowy figures, and an overwhelming sense of dread. As the team ventured deeper into the estate, they quickly realized that the most terrifying part of their night wouldn't be spirits, but something far more real.
I feel like a cop. Y'all always keep your ears on the swivel.
Oh man.
This is deja vu, bro. This exact moment is deja vu. That's so crazy.
We've been here before.
This is deja vu of a deja vu moment.
So you always knew you was gonna be a ghost hunter, huh?
You said that exact same thing. Crazy, bro. I might be a medium.
I might be over here. You see that shooting star?
Yeah. Hey.
Bro, what? I don't even...
Okay.
Walking through, we see a group standing around in a circle. Two of them laughing for no reason. We start walking, we see one pop up behind a bush, just standing there straight staring at us. Then the group, all in a circle, starts looking at us while we walk by them, and then they start following us as we walk by them. So we all got our right now. Nah, this ain't one of them ones, bro. This ain't one of them ones. I'll take a nigga off a cliff with me. I'm surviving, bro. That's all I know.
Bro, I'll tell you what. Ghosts are one thing. People.
You see the dude in black just standing there looking at us?
Yeah, this just popped up out of the bush.
Bro, make sure you keep, brother. You hear this?
Why are they following us right now?
They're following us, bro. They're following us.
I know they're following us.
They're following us. Come on.
Yo, don't put the light this way. I can't see that way.
They're following us, bro. Is that them?
Yeah.
All right. They're coming up on them. Come on.
I'm not sticking around.
I feel like they surrounding us.
Get him. You just say get him?
Yeah, I'm not sticking around.
This chilling moment was captured on camera, leaving the group shaken. The next clip comes from the TikTok account Ace Dawns, where Steven shares adventurous videos filled with breathtaking scenery and daring activities. However, in this particular video, Steven recounts an experience that left him deeply unsettled, and he felt compelled to share it with his viewers. Steven was on a camping trip with a close friend, enjoying the tranquility of nature. After finishing dinner, they began to feel bored and decided to try out the infamous Randonautica app. This app generates random locations for users to explore, encouraging mindfulness and adventure. However, there have been countless stories online of Randonautica users being led to strange, unsettling, and even dangerous places. On June 24, 2020, Stephen and his friend followed the app's instructions as it guided them to an unusual location. At first, they thought it was just another scenic spot in nature, but as they approached, they noticed something odd. The town near where the app was directing them didn't seem ordinary.
This Randonautica app just brought us to this creepy town, and honestly, when we saw this, we should have turned around and left. We continued up the mountain though, and there's always abandoned cars and nobody around. At this point, we're definitely trespassing. We couldn't even really turn around at this point because the road was so narrow and it was such a steep drop off on the other side. We were kind of intrigued at how creepy this was, even though it was getting dark really quick, and next thing we know, the sun had gone down and the moon came out.
As they drove further, they realized the town was completely abandoned. The streets were silent, the houses were dark and weathered, and some even had strange mannequins positioned in their windows. The air was eerily still, no birds chirping, no cars passing, not even the sound of wind. The sense of unease grew, but they continued to follow the GPS, convincing themselves they were just being paranoid. The app led them deeper into the town, and eventually, they arrived at a desolate, overgrown area. They got out of the car to investigate, filming their surroundings as they went.
But we had the pin pulled up, we were so close to it, and this happened. I don't know how to explain this. We're the only ones around, and a random rock falls. I think that was a sign that we should leave. But we kept going. Everything about this place was just giving me really bad vibes, and when I looked into here and saw this, as soon as I realized it's some sort of face, we took off running. I don't know what it is with this town, why there's all these abandoned cars and no people and mannequins in the window.
Suddenly, they stumbled upon something horrifying. A grotesque, unsettling face hidden beneath old wooden debris. This was enough for Stephen and his friend. Terrified, they sprinted back to their car, not daring to look back. Their hearts raced as they ran. The image of the grotesque face burned into their minds. What had they just discovered? Was it a bizarre coincidence, or was there something more sinister at play? Once safely in the car, they started the engine and drove off, trying to shake the terrifying encounter from their thoughts. The experience felt surreal, like something out of a nightmare, but it was all too real. One thing was certain: they would never use the Randonautica app again. The fear and uncertainty of what they had experienced were enough to make them delete the app immediately. The truth behind what they found remains a mystery, and Stephen's chilling footage only adds to the unsettling lore surrounding the Randonautica app. On November 18, 2011 at 4 a.m., Sydney Fire and Rescue Services responded to an automated fire alarm at the Quakers Hill nursing home. The fire turned into an absolute tragedy. As the situation began to calm down, news outlets conducted interviews with those involved, including Roger Dean. By the time responders arrived, the flames had already consumed a large portion of the building. Reports later revealed that the fire burned so intensely that even firefighters in full protective gear struggled to approach it. What made the situation even more devastating was that the burning ward housed bedridden dementia patients who were unable to escape on their own. Outside, rescue workers could hear desperate cries for help, but were unable to enter due to the extreme heat. Despite these challenges, they managed to save over 100 residents. Among those attempting to help was Roger Dean, who rushed into the building to retrieve vital medication records before firefighters stopped him from re-entering. However, Roger was hiding a dark secret. He was the one who had started the fire. The chain of events began when Roger started stealing prescription medication from the nursing home. Just a day before the fire, security cameras captured him accessing the medication closet 36 times during a single shift to steal pills and capsules. His theft was eventually noticed by other staff members, who reported it to the police. Realizing he would soon be caught, Roger devised a horrific plan. He would start a fire and use the chaos to steal the medication records. While his plan succeeded, it came at a devastating cost. 11 elderly residents lost their lives in the flames. After his arrest, Roger offered a bizarre explanation for his actions, claiming, "It was like Satan saying to me that it's the right thing to do."
Satan saying to me that it's the right thing to do.
In reality, there was no demonic influence. Roger was simply a prescription drug addict who committed an unspeakable crime to cover his tracks. Investigators later uncovered footage of him admiring the fire on the morning it occurred. The seemingly innocent interview he gave now carries a deeply disturbing undertone. Roger stood trial in the Supreme Court in May 2013 and was sentenced to life in prison, without the possibility of parole for 11 counts of murder. On January 1st, 2023, the YouTube channel Van Life Adventures with Jack uploaded footage of what began as a peaceful solo camping trip in the wilderness, but quickly turned into a deeply unsettling experience. Jack, the channel's creator, navigated the narrow, rain-soaked roads of the Scottish Highlands, reflecting on the challenges of winter camping. While he enjoys travel and adventure, he admits that camping alone in such conditions is far from easy. His plan was to visit Castle Campbell, a historic site perched on a hill. Upon arrival, the weather was gloomy, but Jack managed to admire the stunning landscape and capture drone footage before heading back to find a place to sleep. As night fell, he parked his car in a secluded area, surrounded by complete isolation, no lights, no people, and no signs of civilization nearby. At first, everything seemed fine. Jack prepared his sleeping setup, relaxed with some music, and embraced the solitude of the Highlands. However, as he tried to sleep, an uneasy feeling crept in. The first sign of trouble came when he noticed a car parked nearby. Given the remote location, the presence of another vehicle so late at night felt strange. The car remained stationary and no one got out, leaving Jack increasingly uneasy.
Somebody has parked the car.
As the night progressed, he began hearing unexplained noises outside, faint sounds of movement around the car. When he looked, there was nothing there. Then suddenly his car shook slightly, as if something or someone was nearby. Jack's anxiety peaked as he debated whether to stay or leave. With no phone signal and no way to call for help, he decided to remain inside and hope whoever or whatever was outside would leave. Moments later, he caught a glimpse of movement outside his window. The darkness made it impossible to see clearly, but it was enough to confirm he wasn't alone. This unsettling sight pushed him over the edge.
If you can see me right now, there's guys playing music to my left. There's actually two cars. Another one pulled up as well, and I did not feel good about this at all. So I am getting the hell out of here. I don't know where I'm going to go yet, but it's so dangerous because I can't see nothing. I mean, this is where I am right now for context. You can see like I'm in the middle of nowhere right now.
Not wanting to wait and find out what would happen next, he packed up and left immediately. As he drove away, he noticed the parked car was still there. He kept an eye on his rearview mirror, relieved when nothing followed him. The next morning, Jack tried to make sense of the experience. Was it just a coincidence that another car was there? While he had no definitive answers, one thing was clear. It was one of the most unsettling nights he had ever experienced while camping alone. As always, don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. Meet Oliver, a true travel and adventure enthusiast who shares his experiences on his YouTube channel, Venture Unbound. His videos range from exploring Christmas markets to camping in picturesque locations, offering viewers a glimpse into his journeys and highlighting the unique aspects of each destination. In this video, Oliver embarks on a solo wild camping trip, spending the night deep in a secluded forest somewhere in the UK. His goal is to embrace the outdoors, soak in the tranquility of nature, and fully experience the challenges and rewards of solo camping. It's February 22nd, 2025, and Oliver is brimming with excitement as he arrives at his chosen campsite. The sun filters through the trees, casting a golden glow over the quiet forest, adding to his already good mood. But as he begins searching for the perfect spot to set up camp, he has no idea that this trip will take an unsettling turn, one that will make this adventure unlike any other he has ever filmed.
We're just trying to find a comfortable spot now. There's so many trees around, but it's just trying to find the right spot, which is going to be completely flat and well sheltered. It's a bit alarming when you see fallen branches like this fallen from the trees. Could easily fall on you in the night. So I think I've found a really good spot here. This area here is quite good. You've got a couple of trees around here, and this space right here is really good. It's quite flat as well. I might need to move some twigs out of the way for underneath the tent, but the path is just over there, so people are quite far away, which is really good. So it should be quite quiet. I'm hoping with it being metal, they'll eventually just flex and bend and probably stay in the same position for a while, and hopefully don't flex back too much. That top one was a lot easier compared to the bottom one setting up. So this is a tent fully set up. We've got the tarp over the top, so I'm hoping it does keep the rain off in the night, but the tent will do it anyway if it wasn't there in the first place. But I'm thinking it looks really good. The sun is setting now, so it should be getting quite quiet, and hopefully no one passes through, especially at the night time as well. Don't want anyone passing through on night time. That'd be creepy. It's quite a challenge, and it's quite a weird thing to do, especially being on your own. It's so strange in the wild. And then there's people as well walking around, because it's like a country park. So yeah, it's a very strange atmosphere at times, especially when you go when you go to the toilet in the night and you've got your lantern and you're just walking around and all you can see is the silhouettes of the trees. Now that is just creepy. So it's getting a little bit dark now. I've got my cooking equipment here. I've got my pan as well, and some eggs and some bacon. I've got my olive oil and a lighter as well to start this off. Did you hear that? That was an owl. Hopefully we're going to hear some owls tonight. That was cool. All gone. That was actually really good. I'm quite full now, so I didn't need to bring any bread or anything. That was really good. This is what it's like when it's pitch black. This is what it's like when you put the lantern on. And it's very creepy. Like when you need to go to the toilet in the night, it's so spooky. Like you just see a random tree just dotted there, and it's so like, whoa. It's like a person stood there. But yeah, it's quite a creepy feeling when it's dark like this. So I'm going to get some sleep now and test it out, see how it goes, see if I get some sleep. Last time when I was in the hammock tent, I only had about 2 hours sleep. That wasn't the best night ever, really. But we'll see how this one goes. It's not a hammock tent, it's a lay flat, you know, on the ground tent. So we'll see how it goes, and I will see you guys in the morning. Turn around, there's somebody sleeping in the tent behind me. There. No, the tent right there, bro. Hello? Hello? I told you it's company. Oh, come here, boys, together. Come together. Yeah, but I don't want the guy to feel threatened. Oh, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, leave him to it, mate. Let's go. He's got a body cut. Look, he's got a trail from there. What do you mean? A trail from? Look on the tree. That just looks like animals.
You're right.
Oh, sorry. We just stumbled across you, mate. My bad.
No, it's alright, no worries.
You're doing okay, though.
Tell you what. If you go down that way, there's like a bit of a dig.
Is that? Yeah. Like a bit of a crater.
Just keep going. There's like a building or something. Oh, that's it. Have a look at it.
Oh, thanks.
Like a circular brick sort of thing. No, there's no worries. Alright.
Oliver was abruptly woken up by a group of guys wandering through the forest. At first, he was terrified, seeing lights shining on his tent and hearing multiple voices. It took about 10 seconds, but as he slowly became more awake and listened closely, he could make out their words and realize that fortunately these people didn't seem to have bad intentions. After taking a deep breath, Oliver gathered the courage to peek his head out of the tent to let them know he was inside and awake. Although the exact thing he had feared happened, strangers approaching his tent, these guys didn't pose any harm, and luckily, there was no real threat. But for a moment, this encounter gave Oliver the shock of his life, making him more aware than ever of how vulnerable one can be when camping alone in the woods. Who knows what might have happened if it had been someone with bad intentions walking past his tent. Luckily, Oliver didn't have to find out that night, and hopefully, he never will. On December 29, 1986, NBC 7 San Diego aired a segment offering tips on what to do in case your car breaks down.
If your car should become disabled, the rule of thumb is stay inside. There are signs you can get to put on the back window to summon for help. If strangers should offer assistance, tell them to call police or the CHP.
Just stay in the vehicle, lock all the doors, turn on the emergency flashers, and wait for help to come. Even if you have to wait all night, it's better to be in the safety of your vehicle and spend the night than to try to walk and get assistance. Anything can happen. Being a female, you could be robbed if you're a male, all the way to where you could be killed. Once you get in that other person's car, you're at their mercy.
The bottom line, though, is that preventing all this trouble is easy. Be sure your car works. And as simple as it sounds, be sure you've got gas. Because even if you're lucky enough to get some, you still may be taking your life in your own hands.
Do you realize how dangerous it is?
Yes, I realize. In fact, I was putting the gas in, and an 18-wheeler came by and almost blew me away. Truthfully.
However, what seemed like an innocent public service announcement was, in reality, a response to a horrific crime that had taken place in San Diego just 2 days prior. The victim of this crime was Kara Knott, a 20-year-old honors student at San Diego State University. Kara had spent Christmas Day with her family celebrating and opening presents. After dinner, she made plans to spend the next couple of days with her boyfriend, Wayne Batista. Wayne had a severe flu at the time, and Kara wanted to nurse him back to health. She drove to his house and stayed there for the next 2 days. On December 27th at around 8 p.m., Kara called her father, Sam Knott, from her boyfriend's place to let him know she was on her way home. The drive from Wayne's house should have taken about 30 minutes, but when 2 hours passed with no sign of her, her parents began to worry. At around 10 p.m., Sam suddenly got up from his chair and said to his wife, "I'm gonna go find Kara." He drove to Wayne's house hoping Kara was still there. Unfortunately, Wayne told him she had left soon after calling Sam, and he had no idea where she was. Members of her family and Wayne began searching for her along the route she should have taken back home. However, despite driving around all night, they found nothing that could give them any insight into her whereabouts. Kara had vanished without a trace. That is, until 5 a.m., when the family decided to drive down the Mercy Road exit ramp off of I-15. There, they found Kara's white Volkswagen Beetle. The driver's side window was halfway down, the keys were still in the ignition, and all of her belongings were still in the car. But there were no signs of Kara herself. The family reported this find to the police, who quickly began searching the area. Not long after, they found Kara's lifeless body 70 feet below a nearby bridge. A later medical examination revealed that she had rope burns around her neck and a mysterious round injury above one of her eyes. After a complete analysis of her injuries, the coroner concluded that she had been strangled before being thrown from the bridge. Other than these injuries, there were no signs of anything else being done to Kara, making it extremely difficult for investigators to pinpoint the killer's motive. There were also no signs of someone else being in the car, which made it hard to determine why she would drive off the main highway down an abandoned exit on her own. Kara's boyfriend, Wayne, was the last person to see her alive, making him the lead suspect in her murder. However, he was soon cleared of any suspicion since he was at home recovering from the flu when the crime occurred. The only clue investigators had left was a receipt from a Chevron gas station about 15 miles from the crime scene. Kara had likely stopped there on her way back, but questioning the gas station employees failed to uncover any new leads. With no other options, investigators turned to the media, broadcasting Kara's disappearance in as many places as they could and asking the public for any useful information. This included the segment on highway safety featuring Officer Craig Pyre. Luckily, after these segments aired on TV, the Associated Hotline quickly received over 24 calls from women. However, instead of providing information about Kara, these calls uncovered a far more shocking truth. The women said that a patrol officer had pulled them over in the past and told them to drive down the same deserted Mercy Road exit. According to these women, this officer kept them there for hours and would sometimes even get into their passenger seats. The officer they were talking about was 36-year-old Craig Pyre, the same man who had been preaching on TV about how to stay safe on the highway. Craig tried to disprove these allegations with his logbook, which showed that he was writing a ticket at the time miles away from the crime scene. However, his logbook had clear eraser marks on that page. 1 week after the incident, the San Diego Police Department began a formal investigation with Craig as the lead suspect. It didn't take long for them to find mountains of evidence that proved his involvement. While searching his car, investigators found a yellow rope, which was just as thick as the marks on Kara's neck. They also found his flashlight, which matched the wound above Kara's eye. The piece of evidence that sealed the deal, however, was a golden fiber investigators found on Kara's sweatshirt. Forensic analysis revealed that it was identical to the gold fibers in the patch on Craig's uniform. By this point, it was clear that Craig was responsible for this crime. Despite all the evidence, Craig remained adamant that he was innocent. However, the testimonies from over 24 women allowed investigators to piece together what might have happened that night. As the story goes, Craig saw Kara driving alone and decided to pull her over down the Mercy Road exit, just as he had done with dozens of women before. However, instead of complying, Kara fought back and even threatened to file a complaint against him. That's when Craig lost control and hit her with his flashlight. Realizing what he had done, Craig now had two choices: let Kara go and risk ruining his career, or make sure she never talked to anyone again. He chose the second option. After strangling her with a rope, he put her on his car's hood, drove up the bridge, and threw her off the side. On January 16, 1987, Craig was arrested from his home and later sentenced to 25 years to life in prison. He has since applied for parole twice but was rejected both times and remains behind bars. It's still crazy to think that Kara's case might have gone unsolved if Craig hadn't agreed to do that haunting video interview. An interview he gave just days before he committed the murder. This haunting footage comes from the YouTube channel Exploration Unknown, owned by John, a man with a passion for documenting his daring adventures. From exploring eerie abandoned places to spending the night in them, John has been sharing every adventure with his viewers for the past 8 years, showcasing the beauty of decay. However, sometimes his explorations take an unsettling turn, making him question whether his passion is worth the risk. In this video, John sets up camp at an old abandoned farmstead hidden deep in the woods. Locals claim the place is haunted, though that's not the reason he's here. Drawn by its state of decay, John is eager to explore what remains of the farm and uncover what has been left behind. But what he doesn't know is that this night will take a disturbing turn, one that has nothing to do with the forgotten relics of the past. It's November 9th, 2017. As John makes his way through the woods, the sun dips below the horizon, casting eerie shadows across the landscape. Once everything is set up for the night, he starts recording, ready to document the decaying farmstead, completely unaware of what awaits him in the darkness.
I wasn't kidding about being in the woods. Coming up on some structures here. You have to kind of walk off the woods a little bit to get this place. Look at this. It's out here in the middle of nothing. It's a big barrel. That's crazy. I'm not gonna lie. That really freaked me out when I first saw it. Which is weird because it's like somebody's jacket just hanging there. Look at all this stuff here. Now that is a relic of the past. It's like an old 80s printer. So cool. Look at all these little spindly things here. Looks like something that could be used on a turn lathe. So this way. This whole building here is just, looks like over here it's starting to collapse in the back a little bit. Barn, garage. Oh, I'm falling through something. Oh, look. Oh, wow. Look at that metal. Oh, wow. That actually still got, oh, wow. These are unopened. Wonder how old this is. It's unopened motor oil. That's really cool. There's a bunch of cans up here. Oh wow, how long has it been since you've seen those McDonald's bags? Small saws. This is probably not the safest structure to be inside of right now. It is all collapsed everywhere around me except there's one little spot I'm in. Crazy. Yeah, this is cool. Look at all that grease. I'm gonna drop my camera in that. Some old belts here. Still a pretty solid looking old barn except for that corner. I just love being out in the woods at night. Something really freaking cool about it. There we go. Let's go a little bit further that way. Yeah. Right, there we go. That's nice. Oh no, pillow as well. There we go. All set and ready to go. He has fire pot, also pasta bolognese. Beautiful. Francesca said this looked a bit like a coffin when I set it up in the living room.
What are you cooking? Steak?
I'm cooking some steak. Oh
no.
That's good. Yeah, I'm not going to burn a hole through this pan like I did to Sam's pan.
Oh god, yeah.
And there we have it. Steak cooking. Steak's very good.
The banging sound was so loud that both Tom and Matt woke up from it. Their hearts raced as the noise continued echoing through the forest. It went on for what felt like an eternity, and getting any sleep after that was almost impossible. The two lay there wide awake in their sleeping bags, feeling vulnerable and creeped out. They hoped whatever it was wouldn't come closer, but the sound was so relentless that it felt like it might. By the time morning finally came, both were exhausted. They had spent the rest of the night wondering what that noise could have been, their minds racing with every possibility. But despite the fear, there was also a sense of relief that they didn't have to face whatever was out there in the darkness. That banging had sounded intimidating and unsafe. After a quick breakfast, they packed their things and left the forest behind. Their adventure was somewhat soured by the unsettling experience. While they were relieved to leave, a bit of disappointment lingered at how the night had gone. The peaceful experience they had hoped for had turned into something far more unsettling. When Tom later posted the video on his channel, he asked his viewers if they had any explanations for the strange noise. Some believed it could have been an animal, while others speculated something far more disturbing. But to this day, the mystery remains unsolved, leaving Tom and Matt with an experience they can't shake and an unanswered question that will likely stay with them for a long time. The YouTube channel Tom's Trails is known for its outdoor adventures, and on March 9, 2025, Tom uploaded a video documenting his first ever bivvy wild camp. Excited yet nervous, he ventured deep into the woods with his friend Matt, ready to spend the night under the stars with minimal gear. However, what started as a simple outdoor experience quickly turned into something far more unsettling. Tom had long wanted to camp in these woods, and the conditions seemed perfect. Cool but comfortable at 8 degrees Celsius, clear skies and almost no chance of rain. As he set up camp, he couldn't shake a strange feeling, a nervous energy that he couldn't quite place. He dismissed it as first-time jitters and focused on getting settled. The two friends pitched their bivvy bags and prepared a meal over a small fire. The forest was eerily silent, but the occasional rustling of leaves and distant animal sounds reassured them that they weren't completely alone. After eating, they sat by the fire, enjoying the peace that came with being surrounded by nature. Everything seemed to be going well until the atmosphere shifted. As the night deepened, an odd sensation crept over Tom, a feeling of being watched.
There's been some activity. There's been some like deers and foxes running around. One got really close and then bolted and it heard me move. Got a lot of stuff going on, but it's not been like scary. It's been quite nice and relaxing. It's been crazy warm as well.